Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to this Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and appreciate you tuning in and checking out our show yesterday with Brent Beard and Marvelous Marty Paulman on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. But today we have the Peachland Dentistry, JC, and the QB weekend picks that we'll get to here shortly. And then the second portion of the show, we had a conflict with scheduling. Lauren Embry will not be able to join us, so we're going to have Robbie Andreu from the Gainesville Sun, who is retiring after, tons of years. I don't know how many exactly, but we'll talk to Robbie, get his thoughts on leaving the Gainesville Sun, what he plans to do from here, and his thoughts on the Gators. But first, let's go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by JC, Johnny Cornell, the corn dog.
All right.
Good morning, JC.
Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving from a rural farmhouse in East Collins County, Texas, where we are very excited about the big weekend coming with football and leftovers, QB. We have so many leftovers. Leftovers are one of the best things about Thanksgiving, aren't they? And certainly I'm glad to be here on Friday, but go ahead.
You know what's funny is I was thinking about this the other day after I had eaten, because I love Thanksgiving, because I'm a big sweet potato casserole guy, green bean casserole. I love turkey. I go, why do you only eat this like once a year? You know what I mean?
Well, I do. I think maybe because that tryptophan just puts you to sleep, man. I don't know if I could eat turkey as often, although it's a good meat for you. I understand that, low fat and everything, but you get tired, you know.
Well, I mean, true, but I mean, you know, you have it for a dinner one night. You know, you eat dinner, then you want to go to bed. So what is the difference?
Right. Well, one of the big mysteries for me is how long it takes for everybody to eat. I mean, for all of the things to get prepared. And where I'm at, these women love the side dishes. My God, the side dishes. We had 7 side dishes. We had some sweetened corn crusted thing. We had, 3 different casseroles. We had mashed potatoes. It was carbohydrate heaven here. And honest to God, the thing I can't quite grasp is how long it takes for all of that to be done and all of the work that gets done. You sit down at the table, you're so damn tired, you eat, and in 10 minutes it's over.
Well, I think they make it seem like it's a long time. It doesn't take that damn long to cook stuff. I mean, seriously.
Turkeys take a long time. Apparently you stick
That does, but the other stuff you can whip up pretty quick, and they just like to get in there and talk and yap.
Well, they do, and that's part of it. I get that, but part of it is the women love the Food Channel. Oh, the Food Channel that's their ESPN in many cases, and the Food Channel. I mean, I got to do it like this. They did it like this on Channel 29, and so to me, it's very competitive, almost like, oh, you have to have this. You have to eat this casserole. Oh my God! And I'm a big string bean casserole. Green string bean casseroles is off the charts for me. I will have that until Sunday when I get back on a plane and come back to Florida. But it was a good day, and we had great weather here. Upper 40s. Walked around a park, had a great time. Good day, and folks here are kind of excited, just a little bit, about their Texas A&M Aggies and their Texas Longhorns, and there's a lot of Oklahoma people here in North Texas, QB. So I'm in Big 12 country, so we'll have a Big 12 pick today. A big game being played today, QB, a big game that could give us a 3-way tie for the lead in the Big 12. And the football here is not quite as passionate, I would think, as it is in the SEC in many cases. But when they start winning, football does take a front seat. And, of course, you have the pro teams here. And that game yesterday with the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys went lopsided in the second half. And I think it gave us an indication of who might win that NFC East, because I was very impressed in many ways with the way the Washington defense took over that game. And granted, Andy Dalton is a backup, and Dallas.
Andy Dalton played well. Here's
he did, but they
here's
had
the
some
deal.
offensive line issues.
Here's the
too.
deal.
They lost some guys.
They had offensive line injuries, but that still ain't the reason they lost the game. The coaching decisions in that game cost them the game. You go for it. You go it. I think they went for it on fourth down 3 or 4 times. Didn't make it one time.
No,
they went for it on like their own 20-something yard line. Got stuck. They try to run a fake punt on a 4th and 10 from your own 25.
You're just letting your defense go.
Cowboys turned it over. Ezekiel Elliott fumbled a few times, but the coaching decisions in that game put them behind the 8 ball.
It did hurt their defense, and you're right. A lot of people are scratching their heads over what Mike McCarthy's what's going through his mind right now. He's got his team in a position, believe it or not, to compete for that division, and he just exposes the defense, which played fairly well, although they did give up 3 touchdowns to a very impressive rookie in Antonio Gibson. 3 touchdowns for him, and then, of course, the turnovers. But the turnovers on down you're right, that is what killed the Cowboys. But I do think Washington's defense has stepped up its intensity. I think they're playing pretty well. They've got up front 4 or 5 AP first-team All-Americans. I mean, Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. You got Ryan Kerrigan there on the end. You've got just some Montez Sweat, who's a very good player out of Mississippi State. So I'm impressed with Washington, at least out of that division, and that division struggles. And certainly none of those teams have winning records. But the Washington with Alex Smith back there, not making mistakes and protecting the football, I'm telling you, they can be a scary team if they get to a one-game situation. And that's what happens when you get to the playoffs. It becomes a one-game situation. And Washington, to me, is the best team in that division currently right now.
Well, I agree. It's a horrible division. It's a shame that anybody from that division makes the playoffs. But I would say right now, from a spectator standpoint, you would want to see the Reds or whatever they're called, the Washington football team. In the playoffs instead of those other teams. The other teams,
I think you would. They're bad.
So, JC, I know the Lions played the other game, but I was flipping through the channels because college basketball started. Did it start yesterday or the day before? I think it was the day before.
Right.
I watched and flipped through all different channels, watched them just because, sometimes the football games got out of hand. Last night there was nothing on football-wise because the SEC flat out blew it, not putting the Egg Bowl on like they normally do. I have no idea why they didn't. But I can't tell you how many how these people play these drinking games, when they say something on TV, during a sporting event or whatever. Yes. If you played the drinking game watching college basketball yesterday, every time an announcer said, he's a transfer from so-and-so, that guy transferred from that school.
You wouldn't walk. You wouldn't be able to walk.
No, I have never in my life seen and heard of so many people that are playing as a transfer now. Yeah. It is crazy in college basketball. Personally, you really don't need to recruit kids anymore because I was watching some game and they said, okay, this kid transferred from Kentucky. This kid came from Louisville. This kid transferred from Duke. And they're all on the same team now.
Well, they all want, these recruits, I think these freshmen that get recruited by these big programs, these blue blood programs, insist on playing right away. And if they don't get their way, they're heading to the other blue blood program or some smaller program where they can play immediately because in basketball, what's the lifespan there? 1-2 years maybe for college kids who have aspirations to go to the NBA. And we don't have a lot of those guys at UF, but we have a lot of those guys in college basketball. I think the funniest thing for me when it comes to college basketball that I heard was when John Calipari had a press conference after the game, and he was talking about the way Kentucky scheduled their games. And you should look up Kentucky's first 10 games. They play some of the most difficult teams in college basketball. They play Louisville. They play Duke. They play all these very good basketball teams. And he was talking about scheduling, and he was talking about how, listen, Kentucky fans, if we don't win all of these games at the beginning of our schedule, don't blame the kids, blame me. They shouldn't have tested me for COVID. They should have tested me for drugs because I'm the one who did that scheduling. Pull up he is hilarious. I'm really kind of a fan of his. And pull up that schedule that Kentucky has in their first 10 games, assuming that none of these games get canceled, because it's unbelievable the non-conference games that these guys are playing before the end of the year. And he was just saying, look, man, you need to test me for what I'm smoking because instead of the COVID the virus, because they are playing an incredible first 10 games. And so that was entertaining. I thought that was funny. Kentucky will win.
Well, I'm going to pull it up. I'm pulling it up right now,
Go ahead,
JC.
pull it up.
Okay, they beat Morehead State the other night. That was a damn tough competitor.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Richmond Spiders Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, they play Kansas.
Okay.
Sunday, they play Georgia Tech.
Uh-huh.
Then later
Pretty
on, they
good team.
played Notre Dame. Then they got UCLA. Then they got Louisville.
Yeah.
Then they start conference play on the 29th against South Carolina.
You don't see Duke in there? Okay.
There's no Duke.
I thought I saw Duke. He was talking about those teams that they were playing, Kansas, so forth, Louisville, and right now I would have to say, if you look at conferences, one thing I did notice this early in the basketball season, since we are touching on basketball right now, is that in the Big Ten, the best team is Illinois after a game. So Illinois is ranked very highly, and I saw some highlights of those guys jumping around the basketball court. They look really good. So maybe things are turning up for that school. I know they won a football game last week. They beat Nebraska's brains out, and they play Ohio State, I think, next. So keep your eye on Illinois.
Indiana?
Who? I'm talking about Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois won both their games by over like 60 points.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I watched a little bit of number one team in America is Gonzaga, who has the Florida transfer, Andrew Nimhart, who, he comes off the bench. He's not even a starter for them.
Yeah.
Man, they are loaded. They beat Kansas pretty handily yesterday.
Yes.
We got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Hunter says, good morning. The South State Championship game is here in Pascagoula tonight. The coaches and players are ready to go. So
now, since you're a Mississippi high school player, explain what South State championships mean.
Well, you got the South State winner will play the northern winner for the state title.
There you go.
It's similar to what they do here, but they don't call it that.
They don't call it
Florida.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's and honestly, geographically, who's in charge of the state of Florida, the FHSA, needs to get the map out and really figure out what's north and what's south, because some of it makes absolutely no sense.
Right. Well, a lot of things in high school when it comes to sports in the state of Florida don't make sense to me. But having Mississippi be very, very easy to understand. I know that Starkville team in the past has been pretty good up there in the north, and Pascagoula, of course, is very good in the southern part of the state. And then, of course, you have some Jackson schools. But yeah, good to hear from Hunter there, one of our Mississippi viewers and listeners.
Yep. JC, before we get to our weekend picks, I want to go ahead and do our comfort temp plays of the day, or this day in sports. We're going to do plays of the day. And I had two plays from yesterday that stood out to me that I don't know if I've ever seen in any level of football. But at Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning purchase, $199 value. Our service department is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for your convenience. So our Comfort Temp play of the day from yesterday, it's two plays, both by defensive linemen who pick a ball off and both score touchdowns. Montez Sweat of the Redskins, of the Washington football team, and J.J. Watt from the Houston Texans.
That's right.
Two unbelievable plays by two really, really athletic big guys. But those are our Comfort Temp plays of the day. Have you ever seen that? Yeah,
not two. I've seen one, but not two in the same day.
Right, not two in the same day was crazy.
Right. No, back-to-back games. Certainly, Matthew Stafford is just lost in Detroit. I don't know how long if
I was his agent, I would do anything and everything possible. Yeah. Because let me tell you something. He might be one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. And he's at one of the worst franchises ever.
Yeah.
He needs to go to I don't know where he needs to go, but he needs to go somewhere where he has a chance to win.
I'll tell you where he would be great is I think he would do well in Chicago with a defense like that, and maybe a coach that could get him a little bit more effective, just be more effective offensively. Matt Patricia is a defensive coordinator. That's what he is, and he's got a losing record. They fired Jim Caldwell, who had a winning record in Detroit, to bring in this guy from New England who just doesn't have the goods. And the problem with Matt Stafford is he's so tied into that Detroit area. He's got 4 daughters now, an infant and 3 older daughters, and a wife who went through I watched this piece yesterday on the NFL Today, a wife who was treated for a non-cancerous brain tumor in the Detroit area. They are so tied to Detroit. But if he thinks about his career at all, he's got to get out of there, or they've got to bring in somebody.
Do you realize he's already been in
him.
the league? He's already been in the league like 12 years.
A long time. And I would say he's definitely in the 4th quarter of his career. I mean, that's a long time to play football. He looks like he's in decent health, so he's still got some good years left on those treads. And certainly either they have to bring in somebody in Detroit like a Sean McVay type of guy, or he's got to pack up and go somewhere. And I think he would do well in a place like Chicago, at least in a place where he's got a chance, because in Detroit, man, I was wrong. I flat out said I thought the Lions were going to pick it up.
I forgot about that.
This franchise is just they're dead. I mean, that's a dead franchise. You realize
here's what I would do.
The Lions haven't won a playoff game since I think the 50s. I mean, maybe that's wrong. No, I think that's right. It is the most embarrassing. I don't think it's possible to be as bad. In fact, I've got a stat that will blow your brains out on the Detroit Lions as a franchise. But go ahead. Let me hear what your stat is.
Well, no, not a stat. I was just thinking, because I really like Matt Stafford. I think he's a phenomenal player. He is so talented. It's almost like, now I know they're not a winning franchise, but I really think if they make wholesale changes with the Jaguars, clean house, bring in a new offensive-minded head coach, he would be a perfect fit there.
As long as they bring in the staff, you're right. But here's the thing that I read yesterday about the Detroit Lions. This organization has 1 playoff win since 1958. One. And they haven't won a division title since 1993. You know who the coach was of that team, QB, in 93? That won a division title?
Wayne Fonts.
It was Wayne Fonts, and they played in the Pontiac Silverdome out there in Auburndale, Michigan.
I've been there. I played there.
That type of futility takes some real talent, man. I mean, that is hard to do. And they've done it. They've accomplished that.
You know who he had on that team, right?
He had Barry.
Yeah,
on the 93
the best running back I've ever seen in my life.
Right, but then they lost in the playoff game. They had a 14-2 record. They had home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs, and they go and lose in the first game. They had to win 2 playoff games to get the Super Bowl, and they blew it in the first game at the Silverdome. I can't remember who beat them. It doesn't matter. They have 1 win since 1958, 1, and they haven't won that title since 93. So we're talking 27 years in a division that has 4 teams. 4: Packers, Bears, Vikings, and Lions. That's it. And of course, all divisions have 4 now. But back then, they had more than 4 teams in some divisions because they only had 3 divisions back in the good old days of the 90s. So it's incredible to me what I just think that quarterback's being wasted, and they've got – look, maybe the Fords just don't care. I mean, they built a beautiful stadium right in the middle of downtown Detroit, right next to the baseball park. I don't know why we're spending so much time on Detroit.
We're the new Detroit Lions pregame show is what we are.
That's what we are, yeah. But that'll be the last I mention them, so folks.
The stadium is nice, but it's almost like a big old warehouse.
It's a warehouse next to the baseball field, right down the street from the Renaissance Center. It's a great area, but my God, the teams are bad.
Jimmy sends a text here on the Titan More hotline, since he must be a Detroit Lions fan, and he was giving us stats, and I think you already went to those. He said in 1957 was the last time they won a playoff game.
Okay. Well, 57, 58?
Yeah. All right, JC.
All right, baby.
Let's get to the Peachland Dentistry. Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com.
Okay.
It is time for the Peachland Dentistry QB weekend picks.
Now, the QB has had an early lead as we went through the early part of the season, only to be succumbed by the Wizard JC, who is now 4 games ahead of him in the standings. So we will see if the QB can mount a great comeback. We have some pretty good games this weekend, some rivalry games, which is why I'm wearing this visor, because it's the Iron Bowl weekend. And certainly it should be on Thanksgiving weekend. So we will see how that goes. Of course, Nick Saban not at the game. He's got some mild COVID-19 symptoms and a positive test. So we won't see Coach Saban.
Do you think today he comes out and says, I have a negative test?
No, he's got it. And we will maybe see him next week against Arkansas, although I don't know. I mean, he's very important, obviously. I think that team is on autopilot. I think they'll be fine. But let's start it off with the game where I'm at here in the beautiful state of Texas, where the Longhorns are playing the Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State is leading in the Big 12. Texas is right there, tied with Oklahoma, actually losing in a tiebreaker with Oklahoma for second place. But if Texas wins today at home in Austin against Iowa State, there will be a three-way tie where each of the three teams on the top of the Big 12 have beaten the other. Iowa State will have beaten Oklahoma. Oklahoma will have beaten Texas. And then if Texas can win Iowa State, the game's a pick 'em. Who you got?
Well, before I get to that, if they all stay tied, like you just said, and they've beaten one another,
who wins?
How are they going to determine who plays in the championship game?
No, I haven't looked that up yet.
Okay. Well, you give us your Big 12 report next week. Give us the Big 12 update.
Well, see, the problem is that they play only division games. So, I mean, I guess whoever's got the
probably whoever's ranked. They may go to rankings. Whoever has ranked the highest. Okay. Yeah. So, gosh, what's the spread?
It's a pick 'em.
Oh, wow.
I got the Horns.
Okay, I know you do. I'm going to go with Matt Campbell and the Cyclones.
I knew you would.
I just think, this is a huge game for Tom Herman. Basically, JC, if he loses this game, he ain't going to be around next year.
You don't think so?
I don't. I think Urban's going to be their next head coach.
Wow. Well, there's a lot of bureaucracy in Austin from what I hear, and Urban's going to have to clean that up because he won't survive with all that bureaucracy. So we'll see how it goes. But Texas, look, I like Iowa State. I'm a big Iowa State guy too. I've got a visor that says Iowa State. Notre Dame. This is a game I guess most people seem to be talking about because of Notre Dame's standings in the college football playoff poll. They are laying 5.5 at a very dangerous North Carolina team. Notre Dame, though, going into that game, the reason why it's only 5.5 is they got two guys on the offensive line who are banged up and probably won't play, and that is one of their strengths is the offensive line. But they play North Carolina. Watch out for Sam Howell. Is it Howell? Sam Howell?
Sam Howell.
Yeah, watch out for him. But they're only getting 5.5. But I'm going to take Notre Dame, sticking with the momentum that they've got. But it wouldn't surprise me at all to see this go down in the last 2 minutes.
Give me the Tar Heels at home.
Of course, you hate Notre Dame. You always pick your feelings. You never pick smart.
No, here we go. There's a reason it's 5.5. It should be way more. I mean, remember, North Carolina lost to the semis.
That's true.
We got a Facebook Live. We got a Facebook Live comment here brought to you by Metal Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Francis says, "I love your Charlie Brown Christmas tree."
Yes. Oh no. Wait a minute. Excuse me. My fell down. Yes. Well, thank you, Francis. Very impressive Christmas tree here in the back of the farmhouse, way back out here in the prairies of eastern Collins County, which is north of Dallas in McKinney, Texas. Thank you. Pittsburgh getting 23.5 at Clemson. Now, the Tigers haven't played in a month, it seems. Trevor Lawrence will play. Pittsburgh has got their quarterback back. They've won 2 straight games. They've never, as a statistic, they've never lost at Clemson, although they probably, I think, only played twice. So they're 2-0 at Clemson, but they're catching 23.5. And I'm taking those 23.5 points, QB. I see a backdoor cover right here.
Yeah, I think they lose by 21. I'll take the Pitt Panthers.
Okay, good pick there. All right, we'll see if it works out for us. We go to the Big Ten. This is a game you were laughing about before we went on the air, but let's just pick it real quick. I got to fill out the roster. Nebraska is getting 13.5 at Iowa, who has established themselves as one of the hotter teams of the Big Ten. I'm taking Iowa laying the 13.5. I think Nebraska's done.
That's interesting. I'll make it interesting for all our loyal listeners around the world. I will take the Cornhuskers.
The Oregon State Beavers are at home, also getting 13.5 against their hated cross-state rival, actually about 60 miles away, the Oregon Ducks.
Oh, it's the Civil War.
It's the Civil War, which we're not allowed to say anymore. They don't call it that. But
they don't call it the largest outdoor cocktail party either, but we do.
That's right. That's right. The Civil War. So Oregon laying 13.5. The Ducks rated 15th in the college football rankings. That tells you all you need to know about what the committee thinks of the Pac-12. Just not enough of a sample, not enough games. So Oregon suffers there, but they could run the table, win 6 or 7 games. But they are laying 13.5 to Oregon State. I'm taking the Beavers coming off a big win last week at home against the Ducks. Who you got?
Where's the game at?
It's in Corvallis.
Wow. Oregon's laying that many on the road, huh?
Yeah, but
Oregon's not that impressive. I've seen them play.
Yeah, I'm going to take the 13.5.
I'm going to take the Beavers too.
Yeah, now again, no fans at the stadium. They're crazy out there, but no fans at the stadium, and the schools are about 60 miles apart, if that. All right, we get to the SEC finally, and we go with the Egg Bowl, the aforementioned Egg Bowl. Mississippi State played really tough last week with Georgia on a very thin roster of only 49, I think, scholarship players. They are getting 9.5 at Mississippi, and the game is in Oxford. Ole Miss did not get to play Texas A&M last week, which is a shame because I think that would have really showed us what Texas A&M could do against a really good offense since they played Alabama. But we didn't get to see that game. Maybe they'll make it up, maybe they won't. But Mississippi is laying 9.5. Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach. I'm going to take Mississippi because I think Ole Miss has just got too much offensive firepower. They're going to wear down the Bulldogs. It could be close for the first half, but I think they'll pull away in the second half.
I don't know. I haven't. None of our Mississippi State people are giving us any updates here. I don't know how many players they're getting back. And the SEC,
a lot quit. A lot of those guys quit.
Yeah, they dropped the ball.
Yeah.
This game is the same exact time as the Iron Bowl. What the hell were they thinking? With Leach and Kiffin, this should have been on TV last night.
I know. They chose not to have it. They didn't.
I think this is going to be very close. I think it's going to be close, but I think Matt Corral will make a few plays to win the game. I'll take the Rebels. I'll take the Rebels. I think they'll score a late touchdown to cover.
Okay, so you're taking Ole Miss.
Mississippi State impressed me last week.
They impressed me too. They showed a lot of guts. Here's a pretty interesting game. I don't know if it'll be close, but there's a possibility it could be. LSU is getting 14.5 down there at College Station. The Aggies looking to get back on the field after a postponement. So, boy, that's a lot of points. And I just think if LSU can just score, they'll cover the spread. I don't know if they can though with that quarterback. He's young. I'm going to take the 14.5, and I hate that pick, but that's too many.
That's fine. I'll take the Aggies. I think the Aggies blow them out.
They probably will. One more in the SEC before we get to the two more. Georgia laying 21 against South Carolina. I'm taking Georgia.
God, I can't tell you how many times on this show and other shows I've picked South Carolina to win, cover, whatever. They stink.
They're bad.
I don't know how good Georgia is either, but that's a lot of points.
JT Daniels gives them that. I think that asset behind center that maybe
but you got to remember, JC, he was throwing against walk-ons the other day.
True. And they
only ran for 8. When's the last time Georgia ran for 8 total yards in a football game?
I can't remember.
I still think Georgia wins. We got a Facebook Live here. Obviously, he must have just woke up because it comes from Gene, and it's brought to you by Mellon Law, where you matter most. He says the SEC missed the opportunity by not having the Egg Bowl last night.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you so much. We've been on now for 23 minutes, but I'm sorry, 28 minutes. But glad you could help us.
And we've mentioned that multiple times.
You got Georgia.
I'll take Georgia.
All right. Finally, we get to the Iron Bowl. No Nick Saban, and this is incredible to me. You've got Alabama and Auburn playing, and Alabama is laying 24.5 points. And remember, I told you earlier in the season, I'm never picking against Alabama after picking against them twice and losing those big numbers. 24.5. So I'm going with this team spread.
Dude, Auburn will not slow them down. I'm telling you, they are so good on offense. It's scary.
They are.
Alabama rolls them.
Okay. I like the sound of that. We get to Florida and Kentucky. It's the same number, 24.5. I'm assuming you're going to take the same story with the Gators, but 24.5 is the number you have to think about. Certainly they can win. Kentucky quit last week against Alabama. Alabama has a way of making you quit.
Well, you got to remember, Kentucky not only did they quit, Kentucky had a bunch of players out last week. Those players are still out. They may have up to 20-something players not playing this game.
I don't know why it's only 24.5. This should be 30.5.
I think it was less than that. It went when they found out players were out. It went from like 21 to 24.
Yeah, I don't know why it was only 21, frankly. But I'm taking the Gators. I mean, I hate laying those numbers, but they'll just keep scoring. That's what they have to do for the committee, for Kyle Trask. There are so many reasons why Florida needs to keep scoring. You're going to get Pitts back in this game. That's just another weapon that Kentucky won't be able to deal with. And Kentucky has this tendency to hang in there for the first quarter, 2 quarters, and then they quit. And they quit last week, and it was understandable why. But they really had Alabama in the first half. They had a chance to go ahead of Alabama in the second quarter of that game, and they couldn't do it. The field goal got blocked and returned. I think Kentucky just falls on their face again, and Florida will cover that number.
Yeah, it's a blowout city.
Kansas City and Tampa Bay make up our NFL game of the week, and the Bucs are getting 3.5. I don't understand why this isn't 6, except I looked at Kansas City's last 2 games, and they failed to cover those bigger single-digit numbers, and that probably is why it's only 3.5. Tom Brady coming off a Monday night tough game against the Rams, didn't look really that good. The receivers and the running backs, the receivers and the running backs having trouble. Kansas City's defense is no joke. The only team that seems to really figure out Kansas City are the Raiders. But in this case, I see Kansas City going down to Tampa and taking care of their business on Monday night. What do you think?
Yeah, I do too. The Bucs have to be a disappointment if you're a Bucs fan, in my opinion. I believe the only team they've beaten with a winning record are the Packers, and that's the game Aaron Rodgers threw like 3 interceptions, a couple of pick sixes.
Right.
They just didn't play their best, but the Bucs just offensively they aren't very good. I'm
surprised by that.
They just aren't. So I will take Kansas City with the best player in the game, who, in my opinion, will be the best player to ever play the game when it's all said and done.
He's got 5 more Super Bowls to win.
Never seen a talent like that guy.
Yeah, he's incredible, and he'll be a Chief probably his entire career. And so I don't know. It's hard to bet against them laying a field goal. I mean, are you kidding me? The Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the AFC in all likelihood. I think they'll beat the Steelers or whoever they play just because of that guy. So I agree with you. We've got 3 different picks here. You've got Iowa State. I've got Texas. You've got North Carolina. I've got Notre Dame. You have Texas A&M. I have LSU trying to cover that spread. We both took you took Nebraska just to be different. I took Iowa at home. You're getting the points. And then we're all the same. We're the same on the Civil War, on the Florida-Kentucky game, on the Iron Bowl, and on Monday night, our NFL game of the week. So we'll see how you do.
JC, we got a Facebook Live question here for you. Oh. It comes from Sean. I don't know if you know Sean or not, but he says, it's brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators.
That's right.
Where's JC's trophy from the golf tournament he said he was going to win?
Oh, the one I played in Mississippi?
I guess. You didn't win it.
No. Well, no.
Well, you either did or you didn't. So you did not. Okay, very simple.
I'm not sure if that's the one he's talking about because I have won some. But in this particular case, it was a fluke. I didn't win it.
Okay. Well, JC, enjoy Texas.
Yeah.
Root for all your teams. Bring back more T-shirts and all that good stuff.
I already have a Hutchins barbecue shirt I bought for $20 at Hutchins Barbecue the other day. So I love travel. That's why I travel. I pack light. I just collect stuff wherever I go. And
people like you. Those travel centers at the state lines, they love JC because JC pulls in, buys magnets that say, "Welcome to the state of Mississippi," and a T-shirt that says,
"It's cool." It's cool. It's got little cities there, and they're little like Mississippi. You got this magnolia in the middle of the magnet there. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, you got T-shirts, all that good
Texas,
stuff. All right, JC,
you got cows, oil rigs, you got everything here.
That's right. Have a good weekend,
all
man.
right, we'll see you Monday.
Soon. Okay, as JC joins us on the Titan MR hotline at Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're going to take our first time out of the pro. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Robbie Andreu, who is now going into retirement. We'll talk about that and some of the great games that he covered. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
This is Shane Matthews. Thank you for listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. You can also check me out on Inside the Huddle with Steve Russell and the head ball coach Steve Spurrier. Tune in every Tuesday during football season on WRUF 98.1 FM, 8:50 a.m. at 10 o'clock in the morning, or find us on your favorite podcast platform. We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Radware for all your promotional needs, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, everybody. This is Steve Spurrier, former University of Florida head football coach, and I've been blessed with a lot of things during my playing and coaching career here at the University of Florida. Lucky to win the Heisman Trophy way back in '66. We won the national championship in '96, and now we're bringing that same winning attitude to the restaurant game. In the spring of 2021, we're opening Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point right here in Gainesville. So we need the 5-star recruits at all the positions in the restaurant, from the front to the rear. So if you think you got what it takes to make the cut and work for us, I invite you to have a one-on-one meeting and greet with our management team at Hotel Indigo at Celebration Point. Learn all about our job opportunities with the restaurant. Now let me make this clear. We're only looking for the best of the best. So if you love your job and you love the restaurant business and want to be part of the most elite team here in Gainesville, then we want you to come and learn more about this experience. With your help and the best food, drinks, and services, we'll make Spurrier's Restaurant the envy of the Bulldogs, the Seminoles, the Vols, and everybody. So go to SpurrierDraft.com, fill out the application, and we'll see you then. Take care and go Gators.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Skechers, Sushi Hana, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by a guy who's seen the Gators do a lot of celebrating over the years, different sports. It's our good friend, Robbie Andreu from the Gainesville Sun. Good morning, Robbie. How are you?
Morning, Shane. How are you?
Good, man. Hope you and your family had a great Thanksgiving. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I want to congratulate you on your retirement. You and Dooley are both going out at the same time. I'm going to have Dooley on next week, along with Chris Leake's going to be on next week. We're going to have Jordan Rogers from the SEC Network. But I want to congratulate you. And you excited?
Yeah, Shane, it's kind of a happy, sad time. It's been a long run, and you kind of get used to doing something, and then you realize how many years have gone by. But, for me, it just felt like the time was right, and it's the right thing to do. And, so I feel good about that, but it's still a little bit sad walking away, and it'll be my last game on Saturday, and I guess that'll be kind of a little bit of a strange feeling when you walk out of that press box for the last time.
And then I can't remember if y'all have already done it or not, but you and Dooley with y'all's podcast with the Gainesville Sun, have y'all done y'all's final one, or is it next week?
We'll do one after the game, Shane. So the final one, well, yeah, there'll be one next Tuesday. We'll have one. We'll have a swamp cast after the game Saturday night, and then Dooley's having a podcast on Tuesday that I'll be on with him, kind of to just talk about all the years we were there and all kind of some of the stuff we covered and saw.
Yeah, that's amazing. Y'all had a great run, no doubt. So Robbie, before we talk about some of the great moments that you got to cover, what are your plans now? I mean, usually these sports writer guys don't just like retire and go hang out at the lake or whatever. Y'all continue in some capacity writing podcasts, radio shows, or what have you. What's on the agenda for Robbie Andreu?
Yeah, Shane, I think first I'm going to take a little bit of a time off just to kind of decompress a little bit and then figure out what I want to do. But, freelancing, I'll be doing some of that, and maybe some magazine writing for a company that I know. So I'll stay busy definitely. But first of all, I'm going to take a few weeks just to kind of feel what retirement, get a feel for what retirement's about. So then go from there.
Yeah, no doubt. We got a text here on the Titan Mark text line for you, Robbie. It comes from Daryl. He says, Robbie, congratulations on your retirement. What was the most memorable Gator game you ever covered, and what was your favorite road trip covering Gator football?
Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks, Daryl. I appreciate that. But there were so many big moments, the national championship games, but to me, the game that really always kind of sticks out is that 1997 game in the swamp against number one FSU, when Spurrier came out and alternated quarterbacks every other play, Doug Johnson, Noah Brandeis, and they pulled the big upset with that pass to Jaquez Green late in the game, and then the Fred Taylor run down to the 1, and then the Taylor run for the touchdown. But to me, that was one of the most exciting games I've ever seen in the swamp. It didn't have national championship implications, but that was a big moment. And the 96 game in the Sugar Bowl against FSU, that was a big one too. And the play that sticks out to me is when Terry Jackson broke loose and dove into the end zone. And at that time, I turned to Dooley in the press box. I said, Pat, they just won the national championship. It was just kind of surreal because, Florida was a school that always talked about maybe winning the SEC for the first time, and they didn't really talk about national titles. But, that all changed with Spurrier. So, as you know, Shane. So, yeah, those are two moments that really stick out for me.
What was we all know Dooley loves to talk about press box food and who does it right, who does it bad. What Robbie Andreu, where did you enjoy going the most on the road? What venue?
I always liked Auburn, Shane, just because the setting there is so cool, and it's a great little town. And the press box was like in the middle of the thing, and you got just this beautiful view and great atmosphere and really loud. That was always one of my favorite trips. And the good thing about it was only like a 4.5 hour drive on country roads. So it was just one that I think we always look forward to going to. And just the atmosphere was great there. And I know Florida didn't always play great there, but it was always a road trip you look forward to. And it's a shame that, Florida and Auburn got lost once the divisions came and split them apart.
Yeah, no doubt. We're speaking with Robbie Andreu here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. You can follow him at Robbie Andreu on Twitter. Robbie, when you look back, you got here, I believe you said in 1989 to cover the Gators. You came from Fort Lauderdale's paper down there. So you've been through a bunch of coaches, 5 or 6 football coaches, I would say. Was there one guy, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but who did you enjoy covering the most, and who was the easiest to work with?
Well, that's not even close, Shane. It's the same person. Steve Spurrier he was great to work with. He was always refreshing, honest, told it like it was, and he gave you great access. And we had a relationship with coaches back then. With John Reeves and all the assistant coaches, and we kind of don't have that anymore. It's kind of you're a little bit distant from the assistant coach as the head coach. But yeah, the head ball coach was the greatest one to work with, and it was a great run when he was here. And I know near the end there, you didn't see the end coming for him, but during the late 90s, I kept thinking, well, when Spurrier leaves, maybe I'll go and cover something else because it's not going to be the same without him. And it never really has been the same without him. He was a joy to be around. And, he was tough on you too at times. If you wrote something he didn't like or didn't think was accurate, he'd call you out on it, and that was fine. I think that was what kind of helped make the relationship so good between him and the media. I mean, it was a real good relationship with all of us.
Speaking of that, because he trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about when whether it was you or Larry Guest or somebody like that writes something and he doesn't agree with it or it's false, he's definitely going to call you out on it. Did any other
Yeah.
coaches that you worked, that you covered, were they like that? That if you wrote something and they got word of it, did they contact you?
Yeah, Urban and Zook kind of would do that, and then Muschamp did it too occasionally. But the one thing I remember is with Zook is the time I kind of called him out because we were at practice one day, and I asked if everybody was eligible for the Georgia game, and then he said yes, and then that like 15 minutes later, Frank Frangi's on the radio saying somebody's out suspended for whatever, and I got mad and called Zook out, and we kind of had a little bit of a shouting match walking back to the football locker room area, and Doc Lucky came up and listened to us. He was like stunned that we were yelling at each other like that. But the thing is, once you do that, Shane, the next day it's all forgotten. Everything's fine again. And when Spurrier would call you out and he'd get mad at you, he'd be fine with you the very next day too, because you talked it out and went forward from there. So, a good relationship all the way around.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Robbie, who would you say, was there one football player in all the years that you were here covering that was the most interesting guy to cover? I know we had some characters on that basketball back-to-back team, but from a football standpoint, was there anybody that you just really enjoyed covering?
Yeah, there were so many, Shane, and you were one of them. For one thing, you became a Heisman candidate there in the early '90s, but Danny Werfel was a great guy to be around. James Bates was the nuttiest guy around, and he's still that way. And I really love playing him, being around him. And I remember one day at practice, Shane, it was Halloween, and for his helmet, he wore a pumpkin on his head. So that was hilarious, and that was so Batesy that it was just classic. But he was fun to be around. He was a real nut. And Lawrence Wright was a great guy to be around. He talked so much, was so animated and honest with you. And Tebow was also a guy that was he was different in a way because he was so competitive and so driven to win. But he was a good guy to be around too.
I'm trying to remember. So, like you said, you guys could see like Bates doing his crazy stuff at practice because y'all were there. And I want to say during the Spurrier era, y'all got to watch the entire practice, right? Yeah,
Shane, we were out there from the very first spring that Spurrier was here. We went to every practice and we're out there the whole time. I mean, we'd get to watch, the Monday Night Football scrimmage that he would have. That's where I first saw Doring. I saw him making catches when he was, I guess, a redshirt freshman. And, so we got to see everything. It was an amazing thing. But, he kind of had rules about that, too, that if you can't really write about what's, if a coach is yelling at a player, you can't write a note in a paper about that. You kind of, keep that to yourself. So, but yeah, there was a good thing we had there. We don't go get to any practice now. So it's totally different. But we really back then you had a much better feel for the team, and the players knew us and we knew them. And like I said, we would walk back to the locker room with players for interviews, and we would walk back with coaches for interviews. And you don't get that anymore. You don't get the one-on-one contact with the players or the coaches, and you feel a little bit more distant now than you did back then.
Yeah, no doubt. Rob says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. He always read your column in the Sun. Robbie, I will miss the Gator beat with you and Pat Dooley. That was Rob. And then Peter's question for you, Robbie, is what assistant coaches were the most interesting to interview?
That's a really good question from him. That's well, John Reeves was one for sure. He was he would call Chris Harry would always talk about the Seminoles, and so John Reeves would always call him Sammy Seminole. He'd go, "Hey, Sammy Seminole, what you doing today?" So he was a cool guy to be around. And things are so different back then, Shane. We had phone numbers for assistant coaches. I remember, like on recruiting weekends, I would call John Reeves and he'd just tell me what happened. And that was really great. You don't have that anymore. And I went when I was looking for a house. His wife drove me around town and showed me houses. So it was just so much more nicer back then, having the relationships you did with coaches. And he was a guy that kind of stuck out. But again, there's so many of them. Dwayne Dixon. All these guys Bobby Stoops was cool to be around. It was Spurrier brought in a bunch of good people as his coaches, and they got along with everybody. So a lot of good memories with those assistant coaches.
At Chris Dorian Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Dorian Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. A few more minutes here with Robbie Andreu, who is riding off into the sunset. So Robbie, my question for you is, obviously Dan Mullen has turned the program back around in his 3 years here. Offense is outstanding. Kyle Trask is having a historical year. I mean, you've seen a lot of college football. You ever seen anybody with a story like him?
No, never, Shane. I mean, you're talking about a guy that, didn't even start in high school. I guess the last game he started was as a JV in high school, 8th or 9th grade or whatever. And for him to stick around and persevere and keep having himself game ready, knowing that he was, one play away from being the starting quarterback. And, he got that one opportunity, and man, he took off and won that Kentucky game, pulled them out of the fire in that one. And he's been going at it ever since. And you get a sense that the players really have a great deal of respect for him, just for his work ethic and the way he gets himself ready every week, no matter who they're playing, gets himself ready to play. And it's just been a remarkable story, really. And, like his high school football coach said a couple of years ago or last year, that he's going to be – people are going to wonder what was wrong with him for not starting him in high school. But, with the King kid, you had to go that way too. So, but, yeah, it's one of the most remarkable stories you'll ever see, Shane.
Yeah. I want to ask you this, and I'm not trying to be critical of the kids, because we all, once you get into the collegiate level, especially in a quarterback, it takes a while. You're somewhat shy when you have to deal with the media. When you look back at when you covered Danny during his Heisman run, and then the Heisman run that Tebow had, and now Kyle's, are they all kind of the same kid, or was one a little bit better with the media at that point of their career?
Yeah, Danny and Tebow were real open with the media for sure, but that back then, like I said, you would have one-on-one interviews with guys, so they got to know you better.
Right.
But now Trask is good, but he does it on a Zoom call now, and you've got, 25 people on there, and, you see their name, but you don't really know who they are because they don't see us at practice either. So, yeah, he's been fine with it. But, Danny and Tebow were both really good and open and said the right things, and were always willing to talk about it. But Kyle's doing fine with it too.
So do you think Kyle is going to win this Heisman Trophy this year?
If it ended right now, yeah, I think he would win it. And I think he definitely has a chance when you look at the numbers he's doing. The key, though, Shane, as you know, team success means everything in this kind of thing. So if they keep winning, and if they beat Alabama and he has a good game, he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, I think whoever wins the game in Alabama is going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Well, Robbie, we'll have you back on, my man. Enjoy your few weeks off till you decide what you're going to do. Appreciate you taking the time to join the program. Hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you soon, my man.
Yes, Shane. Look forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, that's Robbie Andreu, long time, wonderful career with the Gainesville Sun, riding off into the sunset, retiring. We wish him a lot of luck and enjoy retirement. We're going to take our second time out of the program. When we come back, we'll wrap this show up. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
Hey, Gator Nation, this is your former head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Check out our show, Inside the Huddle with Shane Matthews and Steve Russell, every Tuesday during football season on 8:50 a.m. and 98.1 FM WRUF at 10 o'clock a.m.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Pomodoro Cafe, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, PRP Regeneration Specialist, and Dowling Signs. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank JC and for doing our Peachland Dentistry weekend, JC and the QP weekend picks, and then Robbie Andreu from the Gainesville Sun, who's retiring, joining us, talk a little bit about some of the stuff he covered. Don't forget to follow us and like us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Next week, we got a good lineup. Former Gator Chris Leak. We're also going to have Pat Dooley, who's also retiring, talk about some of the best things he covered during his career. And we'll have Jordan Rogers from the SEC Network as well. Enjoy the game, folks. Florida should take care of Kentucky. Be safe out there. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. See you next week.